Hi guys, welcome back. I'm glad you're back with me. I hope everybody's been having a fantastic week. It's been a wonderful time. I've been enjoying the summer heat, doing quite a few. It's always the end of the summer when you get all the outdoor gigs when the humidity is so bad that even a fan won't help. I had a fan on me for 2 gigs and it was just hot on hot. It just was really bad. And it was just drenched in sweat. So anyways, I hope you guys are having a good week. I hope things are back. I hope you guys have enjoyed the lessons you've had so far. This week is actually our second lesson. And so now we're actually gonna start talking about using sticks, okay? And like I said, I'm going to use these larger ones so it's easier for you guys to see and everything. Is there an advantage to practicing or getting a pair of these big sticks and practicing with? Yes, there is. If you find the biggest pair of sticks that you can and do your exercises with them, you'll find that when you pick up your normal playing sticks, that you will, it does help increase your speed, because again, like any bodybuilder, we're going to be building the muscles in our hands and in our arms, okay? So the idea is if you play with a heavier stick, you can do that. Now other people will do things like they'll put tape around the ends of their sticks, or they'll put these little donuts on there. They're like little weights that'll make them heavier as well. Okay, yeah, those are other options as well. I just prefer a bigger stick because it does, once you get used to the feel of the big stick, you go down to the smaller stick and it immediately you think, oh my God, this thing has no weight whatsoever, and you think you can play like a hummingbird. And if you've been around some of the guys I've been around, you can. They will. I mean, we have one guy in core, and man, he just hands up, hands down, boom, 1,000,000 miles an hour. So another thing I'd like to tell you guys right now, I am not a traditional grip drummer. I've never played traditional grip. And I mean, I can play it from time to time, and I'll play around with it because it is a fun thing to do, and it's a fun thing to learn, when you're doing a little jazz gig and you do the little things there. It's nice, it's fun. Buddy Rich was one guy that I actually did meet. I didn't get to talk to him too long, but the one thing he did tell us is he was all about traditional grip. He says, you have to play your traditional grip, da 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 da. He didn't respect drummers that played match grip at all. That's probably why he liked Carl Palmer, because Carl Palmer was a traditional grip player. And there are still a lot of great traditional grip players. The thing about it is, and my argument is, if you really want to learn more about playing traditional grip, one guy I looked at his technique and I really think he's got it, and I think he does it very well, is a drummer named Jojo Mayer. So if you can find his video on playing traditional grip, it's a really good one to watch. He's a Moeller method player as well. So he'll teach you Moeller method, which is a really good method for playing drums. So other than that, why not playing traditional grip? Well, it has a lot to do with the origin of the traditional grip. And the thing about traditional grip is it was born out of military drumming. And in military drumming, the drum was at your side. So, if you were playing your drum and it was at a slant like this, you had to play, like that. And a lot of guys were like, my elbows, my shoulder, it's like, and they were all young kids. And finally somebody just said, turn the stick over and do that. And then they found, it's much easier to play this way, than this way. All right. So that's where the grip was born out of. And it's just stayed that way. And of course, all the great teachers of those times, push that method, push that technique, and everything, because that's what they grew up learning, that's what they learned, and they want to pass it on. Fantastic. Thing about it is that modern marching drums are flat. So, much better to play this way. If you play traditional grip, now that the drum's flat, I have a tendency that your this shoulder is sinking, the elbow sinks. I've seen most drummers where it's almost their hand is, their palm, where our palm is flat down, their palm is face up. So it's like completely upside down. All right, that is fine. It works for them, and some of them are absolutely amazing drummers. There's some great drummers. The thing was, Buddy Rich, when he played, his snare drum was facing away from him. It was facing down. Why? So he could play traditional grip. Okay, that is why he did it. So these guys like Stuart Copeland, amazing drummer, absolutely, and he's a beast. I mean, he's massive power out of that thing. And for him, it's no big deal. Although if you ever see him playing, he's either wearing a glove or he's got his fingers taped up like crazy because he's blister city. But I hate to say he's a more modern drummer because he's been around a long time and he's a fantastic drummer. Mr. Todd Zuckerman, he's a drummer of Styx now. Just smooth and absolutely phenomenal. On his playing, he plays traditional grip. He plays very far to the back, which is interesting to me. I have yet to talk to him about it, but I'm sure it has to do with the power. Okay, and also it extends his reach. Whereas I can do this, he can do that. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is just kind of lay it in our hand. Okay, you feel the width of it. But what I like to do is I kind of like to set it on here, and you're going to find at some point that that there's a balance. Okay, this is the balance point. So this is where the weight is evenly distributed to the front and the back of the stick. Okay, now you can hold it here and it works really well, but you have just as much weight on the back as you do on the front. So most people are going to hold it just behind that point. So you get a little more weight up front and a little less weight in the back. Now, other people are going to hold it all the way at the back. I have seen drummers do this, and it is not great because you have so much weight up front, and you have very little room in the back for the stick to move. If it tends to want to slide, it's too easy for it to slide out of your fingers. So, to get used to that center point, and then find where you're going to grab the stick. I will tell you, it's going to vary. You're going to vary your grip depending on some pieces that you're doing. Sometimes we have to grip it forward. Sometimes we have to grip it backwards, depending on what we're trying to achieve. Sometimes we were playing very, very lightly, or we hold it a little bit farther back. Okay, but how we hold it, it can vary. So there is no rule about exactly where you need to hold the stick. I just say that behind the fulcrum or behind the balance point and a little bit behind it, and you get a good feel for it. And after a while, you'll just pick them up and you'll know exactly what feels good in your hand. So the other thing, so what we're going to do here is I'm going to grab the stick with my index finger and my thumb. Okay, my thumb is pointing up the center of the stick, and my index finger is just wrapped around, and I'm pinching it. Okay, you notice that there's no hole here. I'm not holding it like this. I'm not holding it like this. I'm not holding it like that. Okay, I am holding it like so. The reason being is because I've got the grip, the pinch, where you're pinching the stick, that is the fulcrum. This is the point where the stick pivots, all right? That's your pivot point. All right, and that is where you get your flexibility. Okay, so basically it's an extension of your finger. So we hold on to that, and you notice, like I said, I have no gap here. Okay, I've got a good pinch on it, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so what do we do with these guys? What are they doing? Are they just, are we just letting them fly? No, bring your sticks around, your fingers around. Okay, and now your fingers are just cradling the stick. All right, now eventually you will incorporate them where they will actually be pushing the stick. Okay, so you can use your back fingers to help. Okay, in some instances, this is going to be very helpful when you're doing your diddles. Okay, so that is the pinch and the fingers. Okay, now remember, when we're playing drums without a stick, bam, bam, like that. All right, which way is my palm facing? My palm is facing down, the back of my palm is facing upwards. Okay, so when I'm holding the stick, bam, palm down, back of my palm's facing upwards on both sides. Okay, so you're going to hear, and different people have different methods. Okay, there's no particular one method that's perfect for everyone or for everything. Okay, there are different styles of drumming. Okay, so I want to talk about a couple of the variations. So most people will keep their drumsticks at a 45-degree angle. Okay, so basically it makes like a square corner. All right, 45 degrees. That means your hands are flat and your fingers and your stick stays on track. Okay, now remember, keep it loose. All right, so variations. There's another variation, more Germanic, okay, from Germany, where they play a little more flared out. Okay, there's a style like that. Then there is a French style. The French style, they rotate their finger to their thumbs till the thumbs are pointing upwards. Okay, and they play. Okay, that is another style. Okay, in drum corps, when we play multiple times, we notice that I keep my elbows in, my wrists are kicked in like this, and we play like this. They're a little more up and down. Okay, much tighter V. Reason being is because we need to be able to move our hands around the various drums. Okay, like so. There's also this method. This isn't really for snare drum or drum set. This is the technique for timpani. The idea is not to hit the drum. And if you play timpani, you know it is a very tricky instrument to master. Okay, so this is the Duff style. This is the style I learned. This is from Cloyd Duff, who was the principal timpanist with the Cleveland Orchestra. And he was considered one of the greatest timpanists also. There's also the Vic Firth method as well, and so on and so forth. So the point is that how we hold the sticks. As long as we got the pinch in this and everything like this, keep your palms up kind of at a 45 degrees. Is there other ways of playing a drum? Absolutely. There's one other method, okay? Traditional grip. So traditional grip is where the left hand holds the stick in the hand like so. Now you notice my fulcrum, I'm right at that balance point, right here where I'm holding the stick, right here between my two fingers. So I just lay it across my hand like so. Then my thumb is probably doing a lot of the lifting. This one just kind of hangs over. So this one here, and you notice it's more of a twisting motion on my wrist. And then what we do is bring this finger over. This one may as well. Now we can go back to the first lesson, or we can move on to the next lessons. But from now on, we'll be using sticks. All right. So the idea is to have a nice closed gap. Okay. Remember our lifting motion. Lift your arm and just drop the stick down. Okay. Keep it relaxed. Now you also notice that when the stick hits, I don't do that. You don't shove it into the drum, okay? All you want is the tip to hit the drum. Okay? Keep it loose. My fingers are loose. Fingers are loose. All right? Keep it loose. Yep. There we go. Blooper. All right. So my palms are up, right there. You know, you notice this muscle right here. If you guys can see that muscle right there. This is a muscle that only drummers get, and it's from holding sticks. It's from the pinch. That muscle will eventually start to build up, and you're going to have one of these on your hands. I guarantee it. So, again, keeping my back fingers, I'm just keeping them in contact with the stick, and I'm letting the stick bounce. I'm letting it bounce off, because now it's ready for the next stroke. Whereas if you shove it in there, well then, that's a lot of work, okay? We don't want to do a lot of work. So, remember, there's no right or wrong grip per se. It's just if you've got a good hold on the stick, and if you've got a good pinch on it, and your fingers are just helping along, and you let the stick bounce and everything like that, it's great. If you're playing and it's uncomfortable, something's wrong, okay? If you're playing, if you have to play, and I've known a lot of drummers that will play like they're fly fishing, all right? That is a valid grip. The only problem is that if you play that way for long periods of time, or you play in a situation where you have to be uniform with a bunch of other players, that can be a problem. Also, it's an unnatural twisting of the wrist, because your wrist is a hinge. Okay, it's like a pin going through there. Your wrist is designed to move this way, not as much that way. I mean, you can wave a little bit, but if you do that for a very, very long time, Yeah, that's putting a lot of pressure on this. Whereas the hinge is the natural movement for this joint. Okay? So playing that way also. So if you catch yourself fly fishing, okay, take a moment, remember this, palm down, palm up, back palm up, palm down, and go back to resuming your study. All right? So that's the importance of stick technique. All right? I don't want to profess that there's one wrong, everything's wrong and this is the only right way and everything like that. That's bupkis, okay? There are going to be situations if you have a full-on career in drumming and percussion. You're going to learn so many different ways to hold sticks and mallets and this and that and everything. Be open, okay? But the main thing is stay relaxed, okay? Very importantly, stay relaxed, but still have a good grip, all right? That's the only tension you need right there. It's just that, holding your stick, all right? And let that fulcrum do the work for you, all right? Use the tool. Don't force the tool, okay? Let the tool do the work, all right? Because basically the reason we play with sticks is because we don't want to play with our hands all the time. It hurts, or you got, after an hour of this, you're going to be like, I don't want to play anymore. Whereas having a stick allows you a little more durability, a little more volume, a little more, it's not as strainful on your arms and your hands. You will have, as you grow, there will be some soreness in your arms, things like that. Okay. In that case, like I said, a lot of time that's you developing the muscles. There's a lot of different types of muscles in your arms that you're going to develop as you work up your techniques. Some are, more grand movements, and then some can be more twitch, very small muscles. So you're working various different types of groups of muscles within your arm. But the idea is, if you're playing in one of your arms, or if you develop a soreness in your arm that doesn't go away, the idea is, please double check your technique. If you double check your technique and everything's good, but you still have this one particular pain in your arm, I'm going to tell you right then, stop. Okay, stop. And then you may want to check with a doctor. Okay, one of the biggest career killers in the drumming industry is tendinitis. Okay, and the thing about tendinitis is that if you get it, it's going to require surgery, and not many drummers come back from it. Very few have. Carl Palmer was one, and there may be a few others that have had deal with that. But the idea is the best way to avoid getting tendinitis is playing properly, and that's using the natural movement of your arms. Match grip, palms down, pinch, loose fingers, okay? And then when you're playing, you're not feeling these sharp pains in your arm, okay? If you do, immediately stop. Something's not right, okay? And I say that because I care about how you as a drummer is going to develop. All right. So that's it for me. I'm glad you guys came along. I hope you guys really enjoyed the content I'm bringing to you guys. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe yet, please, jump on subscribe, hit the notification bell, like this episode. Those all are little things that you can do for free to help me make more content for you. And of course, leave me comments. Tell me about things. What do you don't like? Do you play French grip? Do you play traditional grip? Do you prefer this or that? let us know. I'd love to read your comments. I've gotten some great ones so far, and I've got the most recent comment was the one thing that he took away from the whole lesson is just me saying relax, and he's like, that really helped. So again, that's what I'm here for. So again, I look forward to bringing you guys more content, and I look forward to seeing you real soon.